Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in, everybody. We are back. No internet issues to speak of at the moment. Don't want to curse it, but we're back. Another Sunday stream. Hopefully, you guys had a good week here leading up to it. Kevin, what's up? If you're in the chat, say good morning. Let me know how you're feeling. I feel really good today. This is the first week. I've had some weeks where I felt really good about the betting side of the slate. CJ, what's up? A couple weeks ago, when we hit the big Romo Dunze ladder, like I felt really strong about that spot and some of the other bets there. And then there's a couple other spots that I really liked. Melissa, what's up? Taz, what's up? Matt. Yeah, we get the Scyther back there. True Love, what's up? So this is the first week I really like the DFS side of things. It's a really, really interesting and fun slate. So we can kind of dive into that. I'm going to go position by position and kind of give my thoughts on everything. No Matt today. He's golfing, unfortunately. This is just what happens. Like everyone, when football comes back, everyone's all excited, like, oh my God, football's back. Like they're all dialed in. And then, we get to week 5, week 6, and, people are golfing, going apple picking, going to the pumpkin patch. Like I seem to be the only one that's always here, dialed in, and that's fine. I'll take that burden. You can give me the ball, get out of the way, let me go to work. All these other guys want to go off and do this other stuff. Like, come on, man. Like, we have a finite amount of NFL slates left in our lifetimes. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else other than right here on this stream. So solo stream today. I'm leading us into battle, alone, but that's okay. We're gonna get there, and I love this DFS slate. First one of the year, I really, really like. So we're gonna dive in. Let Ben toke the rock. Exactly right, CJ. Just give me the ball 30 times, and I'll take us where we need to go. So if you guys have questions on anything season long, I'm out of my survivor pools, so I don't know if you want my advice on that because I guess I suck at those. Now, I am still alive in the touchdown survivor. The touchdown survivor pool, you pick one touchdown score every week. Can't use the same person twice. 75K top prize. We are down to 280 contestants left. So I have a 1 in 280 shot at 75K. I'm debating Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery for today's touchdown in the touchdown survivor. So we could talk about that a little bit, but normal survivor pool, I picked the Packers last week and lost like an idiot. So I don't know if you want my opinion on that, but season long, DFS, any of that, go ahead and ask. We'll let some questions build up, and then I'll go through a bunch of them. Starting off, if maybe we'll just talk higher level in terms of the whole slate. Roundtree. Oh my God, Mitchell, dude, what was he doing? Side note, real quick, if you're not in the Discord, rollinginsights.com, go down to the bottom of the page where all of the social links are. There's a Discord link, and you should be able to join that. If it doesn't work, I don't know if the link needs updated or not. Just reach out to me directly, and I'll get you in that Discord. But Mitchell and I and Gabe, who watches streams, a couple other people, we were sweating some UFC last night. Marab came through, had Marab in a big parlay. That was good. But yeah, Khalil Roundtree, just a disgrace there. Really good college football betting day yesterday also, if you guys are tapped into that. But rank the mid 5K receivers. Yeah, I will get into that. So higher level slate. This is kind of a play whoever you want slate again. Very similar to like week 1. There's tons of value. So we have a bunch of running back injuries. All their backups are cheap. We've got the same kind of theme of the season has been the cheap mid-tier receivers. So we have a bunch of those again. And we don't really have anywhere to spend our money. We have no Christian McCaffrey on the slate. We have no Puka Nacua on the slate. So if it was a normal week and we had all this value, cash games would be pretty simple. You would just plug in McCaffrey, plug in Puka, plug in those cheap value guys and go from there. But those guys aren't on the slate. So it creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic from a cash game side of things. And then from a tournament side of things, I really like I like a lot of the chalk this week. So I think I'm going to try and just get weird at quarterback. And it's the perfect week, in my opinion, to get weird at quarterback because there's nobody that you're really scared of beating you. On a typical NFL DFS slate, it's tough to feel great about spending down on those 5K quarterbacks when you have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, at the top. And in tournaments, those guys can really beat you. If they have their ceiling games, you're just not catching up to it. When those guys run in a couple, throw a couple. There's really not a threat of that on this slate. We have Jaden Daniels on the slate, but he's coming back from injury. How much are they going to use him in the run game first game back? I don't know. He's going to have the knee brace on. It's an unknown. And then we have Jalen Hurts, who very certainly could break the slate. Jalen Hurts is more than capable of running in a couple tush pushes, throwing a couple touchdowns, and that beats you. But the Eagles' offense has been anemic this season. So it's kind of like a weird situation where I'm completely fine saving at quarterback, getting off the board at quarterback, especially when basically the biggest ownership projection of the season is on Justin Fields this week. I'm seeing him almost 30% owned. That's unheard of for a quarterback. Normally, even the chalk quarterbacks, it's going to top out at 15, 16%. We're getting double that on Fields today. And Fields does have, the slate breaking upside, running touchdowns in, but still, there's also a situation where the Jets want to run the ball and they just hand it off to Breece Hall and they go on long extended drives and it kind of kills the game. So I'm really interested in kind of getting off the board at quarterback today and then playing some of those chalky running backs, chalky receivers, and just let a couple low-owned plays hopefully, carry me through. Herbert rushing at 14.5. Yeah, he definitely could have to run with the tackle situation there. So I don't hate it. He's been running more anyways. So I don't hate that. I don't hate that play. All right, so we'll go position by position. So starting at quarterback, like I said, Fields, huge ownership projection today. After that, it's Justin Herbert and Daniel Jones. All three of those guys are projected for double-digit ownership, and then everyone else is well below 10%. So I love Fields. I think Fields is the clear and obvious cash game quarterback this week on DraftKings. I think you play him there. After that, in tournaments, I'm more interested in Breece Hall than Fields. And Breece Hall is not going to be a secret. He's, projected for, arguably the highest ownership tag on the slate at running back. But like I said, there are paths to this game failing, and it would be on the back of Breece Hall. The Jets have shown us time and time again, they're completely fine just running the ball over and over and over again and going on these time-sucking long drives. That can kill the game from a pace perspective. So I'm a little bit more interested in playing this game through Breece Hall in tournaments. Not to say I won't have any Fields in tournaments, but if you're going to play Justin Fields in tournaments, I would say be pretty mindful of who you're putting around him, just because everyone that's playing that's going to have Fields, Wilson, and the other chalky plays, cheap running back. So I would just be mindful of how you're building your team if you're playing Fields in tournaments. After him, I'm fine just fading Herbert this week. It might kill me, but I'm a little bit lower on that game as a whole. Washington, Daniel's coming back from injury first game back. They don't have Terry McLaurin, which definitely takes a dynamic, aspect away from that offense. The run game has basically been non-existent for Washington, and you're just kind of relying on Zach Ertz and Debo. And I respect the Chargers defense a lot, and I respect Jesse Minter. So it's kind of gross from the Washington side of things. And then on the flip side, it's the Chargers are dealing with these offensive line injuries. Other than Quentin Johnston, they've kind of Ladd McConkey has been very underwhelming. Maybe they just make this a Hampton game again. So I don't know. I'm not playing much Herbert. Maybe that burns me. If it does, then I guess I lose that way. Daniel Jones, I think, is fine. I do think Daniel Jones is going to probably push Herbert for ownership. I think they're going to be pretty close to each other because if anyone's looking to game stack, I do think Indy and Vegas makes the most sense because you have the cheap Colts receivers. You have Jonathan Taylor, who has a high ownership projection. And then when you take Brock Bowers out of the picture, you just have very clear and obvious ways to get into the Vegas side of things with Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. So I do think that's going to be the highest owned game stack. So maybe that could scare you off a little bit in tournaments. But I'm fine with Daniel Jones. No issues there. After those guys, I like, the Lions stuff. I could certainly see you getting into the smaller the slate, the more likely I am to play like these full team onslaughts. And the Lions are the most clear and obvious, onslaught team. And they've been that way for multiple seasons now. So I think Goff is fine. And then I'm interested in all these mid-tier guys that are pivots off of field. So you could talk me into Kyler. You could talk me into Jackson Dart. You could talk me into Sam Darnold. You could talk me into even, Spencer Rattler or Bryce Young if you want to go down really far, or Jake Browning, any of those guys, CJ Stroud. Like any of these 5K guys that aren't going to be owned, I'm interested in. If you asked me to rank them, I'd probably say I would probably put Dart 1, Kyler 2, Darnold 3. Those would be the main 3 for me. Kyler, I just don't think he's going to be owned. Nobody likes to play Kyler Murray in DFS anymore, and they have a huge team total at home against a bad team. Yes, there are paths to the Cardinals not doing anything, but I think the Cardinals are going to score. And maybe you get lucky, with the running back stuff. Maybe Kyler runs one in, or maybe he connects with Marv for a long one. Obviously, you have Trey McBride. Like both Kyler and Darnold have very clear stacking stuff. Like you want to put Kyler with Marv and McBride. You want to put Darnold with Jackson Smith-Njigba. And then if you want to get weird, you can use Torrey Horton, who I like a lot. You have Cooper Kupp there. You have Elijah Arroyo at tight end. Like just very clear paths to stack those guys. And then honestly, the same for Dart too. I really like Darius Slayton today. We've seen Slayton have big games without Neighbors in the lineup last year. The Saints play pretty fast under Kellen Moore. So there is paths to where that game gets cooking a little bit. So the Dart to Slayton stuff, looks pretty good to me too. So that's kind of just how I'm playing this slate. I'm going to look at Kyler, Darnold, Dart, and, just try and get a low-owned stack in and play some chalk around it. That's mainly just my main strategy today. Rattler's breakout week, could certainly see it at home there. A little bit worried about definitely a mismatch when we talk about the Giants defensive line versus the Saints offensive line. But yeah, there's paths to Rattler having a big game today for sure. Jelly said DraftKings cash, Achane and Jacoby versus JSN and Breece Hall. That is a tough one, Jelly. I would take the first one of those combos you presented, but I would also prioritize Jackson Smith-Njigba in my cash game lineup. I would recommend playing him in cash today. I don't think you can make a cash team without him. Highest owned projected receiver on the slate. Really good spot against the pass funnel defense. I think that'd be a scary fade. So I would maybe rework that, Jelly, to where you could get Achane, Myers and like JSN. Try and get all those guys together. I really like Breece Hall in tournaments, but I'm comfortable skipping him in cash games, especially because you're probably going to have Fields anyways. All right, switching to running back. Really like the chalk here. When we're looking at high-owned guys at running back, you have Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, and then Rachaad White, Rico Dowdle. So how I think most teams will be constructing is taking, 2 of Breece, JT, Achane, and then 1 of Rachaad White and Rico Dowdle. I think that's what most people will be doing today. So for cash games, I think you're doing that. And then for tournaments, I think that will carry over. I think Rashaad's going to get some good ownership in tournaments. I think Rico's going to get some good ownership in tournaments. So I like pivoting in the 5K tier. I will have a lot of Breece today. Because I'm not going to play much Fields in tournaments. I'll have a lot of JT and Achane. And I think you can play all 3 of those guys together and just skip the value guys altogether. Or what you can do is pivot up a little bit off of like Rachaad White and get into both Woody Marks and David Montgomery. low 5K tier price tags, low projections, right? Not low, but lower than, like, both those guys project worse than Rachaad White and Rico Dowdle. So I don't see how anyone plays a lot of Montgomery and Woody Marks. And I like those guys a lot. So Monty, everybody knows the narrative stuff at this point. With the homecoming game, the sister being paralyzed, first time she's going to be able to watch him. So, I mean, that one's clear and obvious. And it also just makes sense because he really didn't get any work last week. And this is going to be a spot for him to get cooking against the Cincinnati defense. And I really like Jamar Chase today. So it's just an easy correlation for me, Monty, with Jamar Chase. As far as Woody Marks goes, I think there's a realistic ceiling here. I think he's kind of protected from all game scripts because he can get going in the passing game if they're losing. He can take over if they're winning in a positive game script. Baltimore's defense is so banged up. Even though the Texans have just been egregiously bad this year, I don't see how they don't put points up today. And they have just been so bad with Madubuike and these guys down on the defensive line. They have given up the most DraftKings points per game to opposing running backs. They've given up the fourth most rushing yards. There is a threat that Nick Chubb could come back to life somehow today, but I think Woody Marks is better at this point. I think the Texans know that, and I think you're going to get him at a really, really nice ownership tag. So Woody Marks and David Montgomery look like great tournament plays to me. Putting one of those guys in with like Breeze, JT, Achane, that's probably how I'm going to build the majority of my teams with a low on stack and some chalky receivers. Seattle defense scary off Mayfield. I do think so. Yeah. Seattle's defense is really, really good. Leroy Pittman or Myers season long. I'd go Jacoby there with no Bowers. Favorite low on stack for big GPP. I would say probably, it's probably like either Darnold or it's probably Darnold or Dart, to be honest with you. Dart has kind of like I think people are looking at last week and worried about the kind of passing output he put out last week, but way different situation going indoors against the Saints defense as opposed to the Chargers. Like the Chargers defense is actually like really, really good. So I think, and he has a rushing floor as well. And then Darnold, like I said, like I know, like in specific, have talked about like a way to rise up tournament boards is to just hit on that pocket passer that gets 300, gets the bonus on DraftKings, gets a couple touchdowns. Darnold could fit into that mold today. Pass funnel defense, JSN, couple long ones there. Torrey Horton's capable of getting downfield for a long one. Like his pass catchers could really carry him along to a high efficiency day. So probably Dart and Darnold for my low owned stacks. Dowdle, Kamara, Marks, Dobbins, season long, got to pick 3. I would actually skip, I might skip Dobbins, Leroy. Tough matchup against Philly. I might go Dowdle, Kamara, Woody. FanDuel specific plays, Kevin. Weirdly enough, it's kind of the same pool for me on FanDuel and DraftKings today. I think it's the same stuff at quarterback. I think at running back, it's the same thing. Like you're playing Taylor, Achane, Rico, Rashad. Like that's probably your cash game pool at running back on FanDuel. And then at receiver, same thing. JSN, you have Jacoby, you have Tet McMillan, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Chris Olave, like a bunch of cheap guys there that are all in good spots. So it's actually pretty similar across both sides for me today. I love Jameson Williams, Matt, and it hurts me. I've seen a lot of people on Jameson Williams this week. You guys know how I roll. The big spike Jameson Williams weeks always seem to come at home indoors. This is outdoors. Now it's good weather in Cincy. I'm not worried about the weather at all. Not worried about Jared Goff really even in the spot. But and I do think like they're trying to make a point to get Jameson Williams going. But yeah, from a DFS side of things, like if you're playing golf, yeah, Jameson Williams, fine. No problem at all. I have Jameson Williams in my golf team. So yeah, I do think he's a good play, but not sure if I'll go overboard with him today. Would you rank the preference of JT, Gibbs, Achane, and Cash? Yeah, I would go Achane, JT, Gibbs in that order. Gibbs, I'll be skipping in Cash today. Good tournament play, but don't see myself getting there in Cash. Yeah, Taz, good call there on Nico. Don't think I'd play him in Cash, but really strong tournament play against a banged up Ravens defense. I actually prefer Marks to him, but both are on good spots. One of Nico and Woody is going to have a good game. Feel pretty confident in saying that. True Love, I don't think AJ Brown is cash playable, but very good tournament play. Kind of like I spoke about at the top, Hurts is the one guy that could really kill you on this slate. So if you want to just like larger field, you play Hurts, you play AJ Brown, kind of go from there. I'm not worried about Surtain on him though, just because AJ Brown's always been a good man beater. He's big bodied. And it's going to be fun to watch, actually. Like AJ Brown versus Pat Surtain that's like a good matchup. I'm excited to watch that. Jelly, I'd go Jacoby over Johnston in DK Cash. Love Quentin Johnston today. We talked about it on the Friday stream. Washington gives up a ton of air yards per completion. They give up a ton of splash plays, basically giving up the most splash plays in the NFL. And that fits right into Quentin Johnston's game. So Quentin Johnston, very, very strong play today, but really tough to avoid Jacoby and Cash, in my opinion, with Bowers down. And, potential losing game script there. Like, I don't foresee the Raiders being able to run the ball this week like they did last week on Chicago, especially with Colton Miller down. Like, they're only good offensive. They already have one of the worst offensive lines in football. Now you take out their best offensive lineman and their left tackle. I think the Colts, like, pass rush is just going to eat here, and the Colts are going to be winning this game. So it's probably going to be a pass-heavy game script from Vegas. We saw them early on in the season when they've gotten down go really, really super heavy with their pass rate. I could see that happening again today. And Jacoby with no Bowers, just a really strong play. I feel like people have Jacoby fatigue. They don't really want to play him. He hasn't had like that monster game this year, but the opportunity is still there, and I'm assuming it's coming at some point. All right, switching from running back to receiver. Pretty good with the chalk here too. JSN, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Jacoby, Chris Olave, Waddle, Johnston. Those are like the highest owned options. Love JSN today. Love Garrett Wilson if you're playing Fields. If you're not playing Fields, I'll probably skip Wilson and just focus on Breece, like I said. Same thing with Pickens. Like if you're game stacking, that's fine. If you're not, probably skip Pickens. Jacoby, I'm good with. Johnson, I just talked about, I'm good with. Olave, I'm good with. And then lower own stuff, I like Tedero and McMillan a lot today. I wrote it in my player pool. If not now, I don't know when the big Ted McMillan game is coming if he doesn't do it today. It's just the nut spot against Miami. Metrically, he looks really good. It's basically just been an offense Bryce Young issue, but this is a spot for the Panthers passing game to get right. So I really like Tedero McMillan, and I really like Jamar Chase. I think Jamar, like, just think for a second, right? Like coming into the season, well, let me paint the picture for you guys. Coming into the season, so let's pretend it's late August, and I told you that in week 5, we're going to get the Cincinnati Bengals against the Detroit Lions in a game with a total just under 50, and we were going to get Jamar Chase at single-digit ownership. Not a single person in the stream would have believed me. And the reason why we're going to get him so low owned is because people have watched Jake Browning absolutely suck for 2 weeks in just the stone worst spots. At Minnesota against Brian Flores, and then on the road against Denver. Two terrible spots for Jake Browning. Now he's coming back home. We get him at home. We get him against a Lions defense that we know is going to play as much man coverage as any defense is going to play today, which is good. You're not going to man up Jamar Chase. You're just not going to. And on top of that, Detroit's secondary is extremely banged up. We saw this secondary be banged up late last season. They were getting absolutely cooked by everybody. Once again, they're dealing with a ton of injuries in the secondary today. This is such a clear and obvious Jamar Chase bounce back spot, and I can't believe we're going to get him at single-digit ownership. I am planting my flag. Jamar Chase is going for 100 yards today. He's scoring a touchdown today, and it's just like the most clear and obvious spot of the season, and I can't believe not only that we're going to get him at this level of ownership, but on top of that, we have all of the salary in the world to play him. It's very easy to fit Jamar Chase in your lineups today. So I'm going to be playing a lot of Jamar Chase in GPP. I'm going to pair him up with, I like the him and Monty mini. If you want to do Gibbs, you can do that. Plenty of salary to do that. If you want to do Jameson or Laporta, you can do that as well. And you don't even have to stack the game. Like, you can play golf stuff with Chase, or you can just do, a secondary correlation and play Chase with one of the other Lions guys. But I feel really good about Chase today. I'm all in on him in tournaments. And if he burns me, I'd much rather go down with single-digit Jamar Chase than, play in one of these other guys at high ownership. So if single-digit on Jamar Chase kills me, I'll live with it. But really, really like Chase today for a bounce back. And then tight end, I think you just play the chalk guys here. So Tyler Warren and Trey McBride are going to suck up a ton of ownership at tight end. You also have Ferguson catching a double-digit percentage there, but I have him pretty firmly behind Warren, especially when you factor in Ferguson's $100 more. I think you play Warren or McBride on pretty much all your teams. If you want to get weird, any cheap tight end this week is going to be weird for tournaments. So put it in your stacks. If you're using Fields, you can use Mason Taylor. Like I said, you could use Laporta. Laporta would probably be my favorite non-Warren or McBride option. But I'm just going to play Tyler Warren or Trey McBride on every team today. So that's how I'm approaching things. Ladder play. I like Darius Slayton a lot for a ladder play. I forgot to talk about him at receiver, but really, really good low-owned spot there. So I think you could do some correlation ladders with like Slayton and Shaheed, Slayton and Olave if you want to do something like that. But I like Darius Slayton a little bit for a ladder today. And he's got big playability. He could catch a long one. Need to start flexing games. No way. Yeah, Bills New England is not a good game tonight. That's not fun. But overall, that's my thoughts on the DFS slate. Playing a like pretty tight core, I would say. Like a lot of JT, a lot of Achane, a lot of Brees, a lot of Chase, a lot of like Jacoby Myers, a lot of Tyler Warren, Trey McBride, and then I'm going to get weird with those quarterbacks and hope one of them gets 303. I think is the way that I'm attacking the slate. Survivor pick this week. Yeah, I don't even like. Upset of the day is the Jets. They're home dogs. The Jets are winning this game today. So I would take the Jets. Upset. For survivor pools, I mean, Indy looks pretty, like, I would say Indy's probably like your safest bet, like, especially with the Raiders offensive line stuff. Really, really tough for me to imagine the Colts losing that game. Cardinals, if you haven't used them, is fine. And I'm assuming a lot of people will use Detroit. I think Indy would probably be my pick. From a betting perspective, like I just said, I bet the Jets today. I think the Jets win this game. I like Indy as well. So I did a money line parlay of the Jets and the Colts. I think you could get excited about that. Nothing else really from a side or total standpoint that I really like. For anytime touchdowns, though, obviously Montgomery with the narrative looks good for like a touchdown parlay. So Monty, obviously Jamar Chase at like plus 160, I think they're giving us. Like, yeah, just windmill that one in. Jamar Chase. This could be like a legendary day if we get this Jamar Chase run out. Plus 165 for Jamar Chase. Love that. Chase and Monty. All right. Any other questions? I'll stay on for a little bit longer, and then I got to go work on my DraftKings cash team. All the other teams I have finished, but kind of debating one thing on DraftKings. I need to think that through. Cardinals defense is great today. Oh yeah, I didn't really talk defense. So I think on DK, I don't know why my mic is making that noise. I think on DK, you're going to get a lot of ownership at the Saints because they're 2,200 at home. And I think you'll get a lot of ownership on the Texans against the Cooper Rush and banged up Ravens at 24. So I think those two will be really high owned. And then the Cardinals. So I like the Cardinals defense for sure. I really like the Colts defense. Like I said, with this banged up Raiders line, looks pretty good to me. So I like the Colts. And I like flipping the Saints ownership and using the Giants instead of the Saints. Same game, more expensive, and better matchup. The Giants pass rush is one of the best in the NFL. Like definitely some potential for some sacks there and some turnovers. So Giants look really good to me in GPP. Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks against, banged up Tampa Bay offensive line. Even though they have Wirfs back, they're still missing multiple offensive line starters. Really far travel spot for the Bucs, going all the way across up to Washington. So Seahawks look pretty good to me as well. I'm kind of just playing, and I'm fine playing the chalky Saints too. It's kind of just whoever fits into your build. But I like pairing the Colts with JT, and yeah, that's probably my favorite right there. Flipping the Saints to the Giants is really good too. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to go figure out my DK Cash team. If you guys have any other questions, reach out to me in that Discord, rollinginsights.com. Scroll down to the bottom, click the Discord link. If that doesn't work for some reason, just reach out to me direct. I know a bunch of you reached out to me last week, and I gave you the link, so I can provide you guys with the link to the Rolling Insights Discord. Good luck today with your bets, DFS, all that good stuff. I will be live tomorrow on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. We will talk Monday Night Football. We will recap what went on today. Usually just wait for me, Guru. I don't do the preseason stuff for NBA much anymore. I used to, but I don't have the time now to grind it. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Good luck today, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.